Today's video is powered by Hawpog.
Skip it up and that up.
Rich hates the Wii U now. He used to love it. He used to say it was going to be so powerful. He's such a flip-flopper.
Shut up. I'm not going to blindly defend a piece of hardware by either of the big three just because I'm a fan of them. If they make dumb mistakes, whether it be Microsoft, Sony, or Nintendo, I'm going to crap all over them. I truly, honestly love the Wii U. I mean that. I don't understand why people think I'm just saying that to shut people up. But Nintendo did drop the ball. And by the way, Zelda Twilight Princess was actually a title originally for the GameCube. It actually was released for the GameCube, and they kind of kept quiet about it because the GameCube was on its way out. You could actually, I remember when the Wii first came out, I saw it, Zelda Twilight Princess for the GameCube right on store shelves in Walmart. But they kept quiet about it because they wanted it to seem like it was a launch title for the Wii, when it was actually just a GameCube port with some motion functions thrown in to make it seem like a true Wii title. So everyone out there who is saying that Zelda Twilight Princess was a Wii launch title needs to sit in a corner and be quiet, because it wasn't. It was a port from the GameCube. Not what the video is about. Moving on. Had to get that off my chest. Chest.
So let me start off by saying I'm genuinely excited for the PS4. Everything I saw, pretty much, minus the cloud gaming part, I was super excited about. I think the fact that they chose to go with the x86 architecture instead of some funky cell-like architecture that's tough for developers to program for, I think is a fantastic idea. The CPU having 8 cores, even though I hear it's just like a beefy tablet CPU, still was a good choice, and the 8 gigabytes of DDR5 shared RAM, I think, is brilliant. They're making a system that's easier for developers to work with, and I think it's going to pay off in the long run. But there's this 800-pound gorilla in the room that I was thinking about today, and I don't see people really talking about, is that, yes, it's great. I'm happy they went with the x86 architecture, and it's going to be just like PCs to program for, and it's going to make development time shorter, quicker, and easier for companies to pump out games for the PS4. But the flip side of that is, because it's really going to be a PC in a Sony labeled box, like it is going to be a PC. I mean, all consoles have been PCs, but there's no difference now. They're not using an IBM power processor in there. It's going to use RISC code as opposed to x86. Is that it's going to be really easy to, 1, hack this system. 2, it's going to be easy to make emulators for it. Emulators have been around forever, man. I remember back in the day, it had to be 1998. Yes, I'm an old fart. And I was using a Nesticle emulator. I was actually on break in high school, and I was playing Castlevania on a Pentium computer using a Nesticle emulator. Emulators have been around forever. What an emulator does, basically, is it takes, someone writes code that emulates the graphics hardware and the CPU of a game console that you had, and it translates the code into something that the computer can understand, so it makes the computer think it's that system, and you play a game on your screen. If Super Nintendo has an emulator, all the consoles have emulators. I'm sure most of you out there who are watching this have used emulators. Now, usually emulators, at least from what I've seen, don't really become super playable in most cases. I mean, the Wii was a little bit different because the Wii, they had an emulator out for that thing before its twilight because of the fact that it was based on older tech. But usually emulators come out towards later in not necessarily when the system is washed up and the next gen system's out, but it comes out later in the system's life, and it's not a threat right away. But my fear is with this, my fear is with the PS4, due to the fact that it really is gonna be a PC in every way, shape, or form, is that you won't even if someone writes an emulator for the PC for the PS4, it's going to be a breeze. There's going to be no hoops to jump over to get it to run, because it's really all you're going to have to do is get around whatever security features are going to be in the PS4, which I don't care what they do. I'm sure someone's going to find a way to get around them. They have in the past all the time, and I'm sure, yes, I know there's very smart people working at Sony, but there's equally as smart people working outside of Sony that can find ways to crack any security they make. It's been done time and time again. Once they crack all that security, you won't even really need to emulate the PS4 because the code the games are going to be written in is what the PC understands. So I think really in a short amount of time, and I could be wrong, there's going to be a very streamlined, very compatible PS4 emulator out there. And what is Sony going to do about it? Are they just going to go sue happy and anyone who puts it out there they're going to throw in jail? I don't really see how they're going to get around that. And I think it's going to be a real problem. Not in the beginning, because the PS4 is pretty decent hardware. You know, you're not buying a $300 laptop and running PS4 games on it. It's just not happening, at least for a cool few years to come. Okay? But it's not going to take that long. You know, you guys know how fast technology progresses. You know, a top-of-the-line computer today will be a machine that'll cost you $400 a few years down the road. And once computers become more capable and their integrated graphics or dedicated graphics become more affordable and cheaper machines become more capable, and due to the fact that emulating the PS4, you don't even really have to emulate it, I think emulation is going to become a real problem for Sony with the PS4 and the Xbox 722, because I hear it's almost using the same hardware. That'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, that could really, it may not even be an issue. You know, maybe they will find some infallible form of security that no one can get around. I doubt it. There's always seems to be someone out there who's smart enough to crack code by all of the big three. But, I mean, think about it. Imagine, I remember when Bleem came out for the PS1, and I actually purchased it. And yeah, it was buggy as hell, but when games ran good on that, the games actually looked better than the PS1. I remember I was playing, I forgot what, MLB the something. I don't know. It was this baseball game for the PS1. I was playing on my Pentium 2, okay? And it ran butter smooth. It was one of the few games that didn't have bugs, and it looked better than it did on the original PlayStation. What would happen now, especially, God forbid, for Sony anyway, I'm saying God forbid, 6 months after the PS4 is released, they have an emulator that runs PS4 games perfect, and the games look better on the PC. Sony, you could shut down 1 billion websites. That's not going to go away. And that could be a big problem for Sony in the long run. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. This may not even be an issue. This is just something totally off the top of my head, which I'm sure you can tell by me stuttering and stammering. But leave your thoughts on this. It's just something I thought of today. I was leaving the gym and I was just thinking like, that system's going to be really easy to emulate. And that could be a big problem. So tell me what you think. Do you think it's going to be easy for hackers and programmers, you know, the basement programmers, to make a PS4 emulator? And do you think it would hurt Sony? It wouldn't, in my opinion, for the first couple years, because not everyone's, like I said, it'll take a while for the mainstream to have a computer that could run PS4 games. It's not going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen quicker than it has with previous generations. Again, like I said, I know I sound like a broken record, because the code is exactly what PCs run on. So tell me what you think. I think it could be a problem. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for supporting Review Tech USA. Have a good one, guys.